Hey Aphro Kingdom, today we're here with another episode of the Off the Air season. Today we want to talk about hair and how people of color should embrace their natural hair or just their natural hair in general more. Today I have my guest St.Cair, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, my name is St.Cair. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. Um, my father is Afro-Caribbean, and more recently, well, I guess within the past few years, I've really been embracing my roots more, particularly with my hair and wanting to learn more about the history of our hair. Um, and so that's what I've been doing. I've sort of been collecting hair stories, among other things. I think social justice in general is important. So whether that's like immigrant rights, women's rights, um, it's all important. But since we're talking about hair today, hair is one of the things that I am really passionate about.
So what inspired you to create a platform that focuses on the appreciation of Afrocentric hair and hairstyles?
So when my little sister was 4, she told us that she didn't like her afro. She has all of my siblings and we all have slightly different hair, and she has sort of the most like afro like hair. And so she announced that she didn't like her afro. She was being made fun of at her majority white school. And she was so embarrassed that she didn't even want to go back to school. And that was really heartbreaking for me because, no one wants to see their little sister or anybody feel so much self-hate at any point in their life, but especially not at such a little kid when you're supposed to, not supposed to be worried about what you look like, just be, having fun on the playground and stuff like that as a 4-year-old. And so I was really angry about it, but then I sort of funneled that anger into something that I felt was more productive. Not that anger is productive, but I wanted to do something that would help my little sister. And so I went around interviewing Black women with natural hair and photographing them and putting them together in a book originally for her, but something that's now going to end up being published as My Beautiful Black Hair. So that it can, impact. She's already seen, a couple, the first version of the book, but I'm excited for other people to see it as well.
When did you start the writing process for your blog and your upcoming book?
So I started. This was right after I graduated from college. So I graduated from college actually in the fall of 2017. And I started working on the book that spring, so spring of 2018, I think. So I spent off and on a couple years getting together like all of the photos and interviews for the book. And one of the hardest parts was knowing when to stop and just be like, okay, this is enough people in my book. Like now I'm just gonna, put it together, just because there's so many different hair stories out there, and I mean everybody's hair story is slightly different. So yeah, anyways, but eventually, I stopped and I put it together in a book form. And now with COVID, I haven't really been out interviewing people in person that much, doing storytelling in that sense. But then I realized that I could create sort of an online platform, sort of like a blog version of my book, collecting stories and photos of Black women with natural hair, and sort of put that all together. And it's been really fun, even if it's just virtual, connecting with these women and collecting these hair stories.
I can imagine that it's very like the stories you can see like different perspectives, like different women's upbringing, like how they embrace their hair or how they did not embrace their hair. I'm sure you probably also got some funny stories, like the first time my hair was not acceptable in society, and it was like How not? It's not my fault.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes I'm like, it is crazy that like we're putting so much emphasis on hair because it's just something like biological, right? Like the texture of your hair, I mean, doesn't really mean anything, but it also has come to mean, I mean, it also does mean a lot, even just, looking back at our ancestors in Africa, from what we know, a lot of them had really deep, long-lasting traditions with their hair, and they had a lot of knowledge about their hair that has become kind of lost, I think, for like African Americans and Afro Caribbeans, but luckily we're starting to get some of that knowledge back now, which is good.
Yes, that isn't helpful. Like it's like most people think, oh, my hair doesn't do nothing for me. Like, but in history, it protected us from bugs. We didn't have to worry about bugs in our hair because it protected it, or our scalp being burnt because if the fro was big enough. But now it's like I just want straight, easy going hair. The hair's too much.
Yeah, yeah, I know, and it's sad how so many people, it's not even, I mean, I know people who want, there's this one Black woman who was almost in my book, she was almost going to do the big chop because she wants natural hair, like she wants to embrace, she wants to let an afro grow, because right now she has a relaxer and a weave, but at the last minute she decided against it because she was worried about her job and her job's reaction. So it's unfortunate.
Yes. What do you hope your viewers gain when they check out your blog and your book when you finally release it to the public?
I hope that, I mean, first and foremost for Black women and girls, I hope that it provides validation, because I know at least, some of the women in my book and my blog have grew up in families that weren't as accepting of natural hair, grew up in communities that weren't as accepting of natural hair. And so I want this book to sort of be a validation. Actually, despite maybe any negative things you've been told about your hair, it is beautiful. And also, I think to see so many courageous stories of people like you who embraced their natural hair, despite the difficulties, and kept going. I hope that that's inspirational for people. I want it to be educational. There's pieces in there about the history of natural hair, about the spirituality of natural hair, things like that. And I mean, I hope that, it's, by, for, and about Black women, but I also hope that people of different races and men and, as well, can find joy and education and even validation and inspiration as well from these women.
What are you most excited about out of publishing the book?
I don't know. I mean, I've been working on it. I feel like I started working on it so long ago. I mean, pretty much exactly 3 years ago. I'm doing math now. Yeah, I guess it's longer than that. Yeah, maybe, I guess 3 years ago. Anyways, like I've been working on it for so long. And it's just so exciting to see this sort of, it's really been like a labor of love. So I'm excited to see it shared with the world. Like, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited to see what people think, to see if people relate to it. A couple of people have told me, from the promotion for the book and for the blog, they've like related to it. So yeah, I hope that it brings more joy into the world, even if it's just a little bit. I hope that that's what it does.
Yes, I'm excited to read the book too when it finally comes out, which is this fall, right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I think we were talking about, right, even if, I mean, depending on stuff with COVID, it would be cool to do some sort of like in-person celebration meetup for, naturals, or for anybody who wants to come.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be exciting, especially now that the world's opening up, the DMV's opening back up, so I see it's a high chance for that actually to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Fingers crossed.
How do you how did you feel about your natural hair growing up?
So growing up, I was like, I didn't think about it at all when I was like really little. And then in kindergarten, I mean, I lived in a majority Black neighborhood, like really almost all Black and I guess some Latinx. Um, so my mom was kind of like the only white person in my life because I'm biracial. Um, and her family who we saw occasionally, but none of them lived very close. And but then when I was in, excuse me, when I got to elementary school in first grade, I started this majority white elementary school, Montessori school, and that's when I really started looking around and seeing like all these white people and noticing how different I looked from all the white girls, and I was like, oh, my skin is too dark, um, and like why is my hair different from theirs? And even it's funny because I don't even have any curves, but compared to them, I was like, oh my gosh, and my body's so curvy, and I just like, which is funny because I'm not, but I just hated everything that like made me different from them, and so I mean, I never really, I would straighten my hair for special occasions and stuff. I mean, especially when I got to middle school and high school, though, I was just so focused on like academics all the time. I didn't have the time to really do my hair, so I just left it curly, but I didn't necessarily like it curly. And whenever I straightened it, I always felt more beautiful. And it wasn't until I got to college, I think, that I actually saw Black hair, both my hair and other Black women's natural hair, as beautiful.
So how do you feel about your hair now?
Now I love my hair. I mean, I think, and some of the women in my blog and in my book talk about this too, that it's not always going to be a linear journey. Like sometimes you might have moments where you're like, oh, but if I had straight hair, maybe that would be more beautiful. So I have those moments, but overall, I have a lot more reverence and appreciation and love for my hair, especially sort of um, thinking about it as a gift from my ancestors. Really, like one of the things that connects me to them on my father's side and reminds me of their strengths. I'm really grateful for it.
So how was the natural journey for your family as a whole, for you and your family?
I mean, well, my mom was white, so she didn't, she doesn't do like the natural hair thing. But my dad used to have locks. I really loved them. I still like. It's funny because now when I see people with locks, I'm like, oh my gosh, he reminds me of my dad. But he eventually like just cut them off and he's bald now. So I guess I sort of separate my childhood from my siblings' childhoods because I'm like so much older than them. Like my little siblings now are 5, 7, and 9, so they're really teeny. But for them, I mean, they actually live in the south of France. They're my half siblings from my dad's side, and so it's majority white. Their neighborhood, their school, everything. And so I mean, my brother, and I think for black men, I mean, it is still difficult, and I've heard from a lot of them that they have had issues embracing their natural hair as well. But in my brother's case, I don't think, I think he actually really likes his hair. He has curly hair, he loves it, and he watches a lot of soccer, so a lot of soccer players have sort of his same hair texture. So he sees himself represented in what he loves. And my youngest sister Zoe, who's 5, I haven't really heard her talk about her hair too much. Her hair is kind of like mine, but my middle sister Chloe is the one. She has the most like hair most like an afro, and I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that she's the one who's definitely, at least so far, had the biggest challenge embracing her natural hair. But thanks to all of like you women who have come together to help me show her that her hair is beautiful. Like now she's actually really excited about her afro, which is really cool to see because that was not the case a few years ago. but you know, she is like excited about doing different styles. Like she likes doing braids, she likes doing like little puffs in her hair. So that's been really beautiful for her to see, you know, and get validation. And you know, I'll show her pictures of Black women with natural hair for my book and my blog, and she's like, oh, she's so beautiful to every single woman. And I'm like, yes, exactly. So yeah, that's our, I guess, family natural hair journey.
It's actually beautiful that your sister is now like realizing that her hair is actually beautiful, seeing that all the representations that you've been showing her.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I guess that leads to my next question. Do you think people of color with multiple hair textures is well represented in the top media platforms?
Oh. You mean, you mean social media or like TV and movies? Both?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think I've seen, I mean, I'm not an expert on this, but I think I've seen, I feel like I've seen more recently a lot of Black women actresses, or yeah, Black actresses embracing their natural hair, like Viola Davis, right? Kerry Washington. I'm trying to think of others, but like really huge. I think.
Taraji, who is also
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, these are like huge actresses, and now they're embracing their natural hair. So I don't know if they wear their. I don't think they wear their hair natural in all their films, but it's really cool to see that. That they're sort of taking the stand, you know, and embracing it, regardless of what, you know, anyone else in Hollywood is saying. But I think, of course, we're still, you know, it's definitely underrepresented in all kinds of media, and especially like if you look at different hair textures within the Black community. I think that hair like mine, or like less, you know, hair with, I guess that's less tightly coiled, I think is more represented, and I think that we need to make sure that like 4C hair, for example, is being just as represented as all the other Black hair types. So I think that that's something to work towards. I mean, but that's why I love seeing Viola Davis, like with her, you know, like really, really tight curls, embracing that, because a lot of girls need it.
Yeah, I feel like they show like the wavy to this almost straight hair texture more than they do the fro. You know, if they show the fro, it's like, oh, they're in a slave movie. And like, well, I mean, you don't have to be a slave to not have like good hair. And I feel like they should have like more movies and more shows, not just cartoons. Because we have cartoons about like a girl who brings her hair, but like real girls in real time, not just drawings, but like actual people embracing their hair and just living life, not just just like being a slave to show the 4C hair, or
Yeah.
they always get, or their hair is always braided up. Like you can walk around with the fro, do nothing with it.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be some old time movie. And that's actually why I love like Lupita Nyong'o. Like I remember, I mean, I think the first thing I saw her in was 12 Years a Slave, right? So you know, there she was, you know, a slave. But I really love that she's like creating, that she's been in these other roles too that are present day, and that she's creating roles for herself, right? Like I think she's gonna play Trevor Noah's mom. And she's making sure to also play, you know, recent Black women and keep her natural hair the whole time. So that's really cool. And like Issa Rae too, right? For the most part, like insists on wearing her hair natural, playing present day women, not just slaves.
Do you believe? Sorry. What are some reasons do you believe some people don't embrace their natural hair?
I think, I mean, I guess it's different for everybody, but I think first and foremost, like it's, I think that, well, I think the media plays a big role in it. I mean, like you were just talking about, like we don't necessarily see ourselves as represented in the media, you know. I mean, especially as a little Black girl, you look at all these like Disney movies, for example, and who has curly hair in a Disney movie, right? Like we have very few Black princesses, you know. You look at like Tiana, and of course her hair is straightened, and half the movie she's like a frog or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that the media plays a huge role in it, you know, and like the modeling industry, like whatever it is, I think there's definitely a lack of representation more, and I think that contributes to us not liking our hair. I think obviously, you know, schools, work discriminate against it often. You know, I've talked to some women who say how they have been discriminated about, you know, against because of their hair in the workplace. You know, their hair's been called unprofessional or untidy or dirty, just like all these false things. And so I feel like it's hard on the, you know, going on the path to self-love with our natural hair, because there's always things like reminding us like, oh, but your natural hair isn't beautiful, right? And so we sort of have to like push past all of those noises that are constantly trying to get in our head, like, oh no, it's not beautiful, oh, it's not professional, oh, it's dirty, oh, you know, you would look better with straight hair. So sort of just like pushing out all of those thoughts and really actively working to embrace our curls. It's hard, but seeing other Black women do it is like really inspirational, I think.
So how do you feel about like the natural hair journey as a culture, as it's being more embraced within society?
Yeah, I love it. I think it's amazing and necessary, and I love that Black people as a whole, but you know, kind of especially Black women, are taking a stand and saying we're not gonna, you know, we don't have to fit into your beauty standards to be beautiful. You know, I think that gives us a lot of power, and I think that, I mean, I don't know, and I mean, I say this, I mean, I don't, you know, I don't know. I think that sometimes white people gain power by knowing that we want to be like them in certain ways. And so I think when we say, no, actually, I love my curly Afrocentric hair and Afrocentric hairstyles, I think that takes away some of their power, because they're no longer this, you know, this thing that we envy, you know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Me personally, like with my hair journey, I started. I told you that because I'm also featured in her blog. I don't know if I made it into the book, but I also like shared my story with her as well. So guys, I'll share you my story, because one day on the Black African Experience, I will actually talk about hair as a point, and we can reference this episode. And for me, the natural hair journey was I guess kind of easy for me in the beginning, because I just knew that I didn't want to have straight hair anymore. Two times I would have a perm, and it poofed back up like poofed back up like the next week. And I'm like, now how that's happening? My mom said, oh, I guess it's just time for you to get another kind of relaxer because you had this for 4 years. I'm like, I mean, my friend thought I was like trying to go natural. I'm like, no, I have a perm. It just poofed back up, and I just said, whatever. So then my friend convinced me, like, just go natural. I'm like, well, the perm ain't doing that for me. My scalp keep burning every time I get this relaxer. Forget it. I don't want it no more. So I told my mom, who is also a hairstylist, and she hates dealing with natural hair. Even though she did go natural eventually, but she hates dealing with natural hair. So she's like, forget it. I'm not going to do nothing to your hair, whatever. And so she like, you look a mess. You need to do something to my hair, like the whole process. And I'm like, well, that's encouraging. My dad, who I have his hair type, told me it was a mess. You need to braid it. It's horrible. And like at one point, he stopped talking to me. He literally stopped talking because I wouldn't get my hair braided. I'm like, I don't want to go to no hair braider. I'm just going to let it grow out, and eventually I'm going to do the big chop, and it's going to be whatever. This is the hair is on my head. I don't care no more. But he had a problem with it. Now today, as my hair has grown, he's like, oh, I like your hair. You should wear it in a ponytail and the poof ball. Oh, now you have a different story. But like when I was going through the ugly stage of the short curly fro, oh no, this is not attractive. You're not looking good. I'm like, well, we're of color. Like, and I got your hair tight. You should like it. You should like it more because I got your hair tight. But he didn't understand that. But now he does. So, and now that my other sister on my dad's side has went now, she thought she would never do that. But now since I had did it already, he's like, oh well, guess it's just hair. It's your life. And he starts talking less about it. It's like whatever. It's our journey. I
Yeah.
feel like most people in the color community have their own journey when it comes to their hair, fighting society standards, and then looking at their own family members, because all family members who have Afrocentric hair do not have the same type of Afrocentric hair, and it's like no one really likes the hair they have. They always want the other people with wavy or almost straight, the supposedly perfect curls. They want the 4C. I'm like, why would you want to do that? This is hard work. And then people with 4C is like, if only I had like wavy hair, I'd be able to comb it, I can slick it back, I'll have the perfect wash and go. And then you looking at each other like, you want this? You can't do nothing with this.
Yeah.
I'm sure some friends or other people who told you like, if only I had your hair type, then the life would be so much easier. I bet you just wake up and your hair just looks amazing.
Yeah, I know it's crazy sometimes how we always want like what we don't have. But yeah, I've heard from, some of my friends with like 4C hair. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, and she's like, I can't do anything tomorrow because I have wash day. you know. But yeah, I mean, and I think that I think that if society was run by like Black people, or if we had more to say in society, it would, like, our just normal schedules and work schedules and everything would take into account like the importance of spending time on our hair, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel as though like if more people of color like did more like representation, demand like I'm not doing my hair like that. That's not what my hair does. My hair bounce back when it's hot. So why are you straightening my hair? Like you go ahead because you want me to burn my hair to get the straight hair that my hair naturally don't do. Like, or you want me to get a perm to burn my scalp, and my brain is getting burnt because we getting the relaxer. Which was also another reason why I decided to get a relaxer. I did some research and saw a video. I'm like, wow, the brain looks like that when you have a perm. It turns black.
Have you
And
seen, oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, go ahead. You can ask.
Oh, I was saying, have you seen Good Hair? It just reminded me of what you were talking about.
Oh yes, I did see that movie, Good Hair. It's Raj had a movie about what's bad hair. I think it's on Hulu, and she also focused on her like in the movie it was a woman, a businesswoman who always straightened her hair, but then one day she decided to cut all the hair off and went natural because like she wasn't being her true self. And I think that's a perfect movie for today's time because I feel like people was always trying to be in the box, box to be not questionable. Like maybe if I get closest to the standard, no one will ask me, "What am I? What are you?" Like, how long does it take to do your hair? Like, can I touch your hair? No.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how you ask.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like that's when people ask, like, oh, can I touch your hair? Like, it's not necessarily, I mean, I don't think everybody means to be offensive, but there's just so much ignorance, and they clearly just have no idea about the history of our hair.
Yes. Yes, I think we have to work on that. We're getting better, but we have a lot more work to do. And your book is definitely, and your blog is definitely going to help with that.
Thank you. And so are you. I mean, with everything you're doing. I mean, even just existing with natural hair. You never know, like, what little girl is going to see you and be like, oh, I see this, adult Black woman with natural hair. I guess that means I can wear my natural hair. I feel like you can provide validation and inspiration without even necessarily realizing it.
Yes. And thank you. How do you feel about people who like they start their natural hair journey and then they decide to like get perms like 2 years later?
Yeah, I know some people who have done that, and I know some people who have done like multiple sort of restarts, like start going natural and then like go back to the perm or relaxer and then start going natural again. And I mean, I think that every woman's hair journey is different, and I never want to, you know, insult or say anything negative about Black women who haven't gone natural, because there are so many reasons. There's so many things in society that make it difficult. I mean, if you're a student, like there's discrimination at schools, right? I mean, as we've seen, a lot of kids being discriminated against for their natural hair, for their dreadlocks, for their Afrocentric braids. And then, jobs, obviously we all need income to live, and a lot of places do discriminate, they're not necessarily going to say it outright, but I think that Black women with natural hair sometimes are given less of a shot. And so I think that there are all these incentives society gives Black women to straighten their hair. And sometimes it even comes from, I mean, like you were talking about your parents, like sometimes it comes from our own Black community, these ideas that no, you need to straighten your hair. That's more beautiful. That's more professional. So I think that our goal, what I would love to see is a society in which no Black woman feels like she has to straighten her hair, and in which natural hair is just as much of an option as, our hair is just as much of an option as any other hair texture.
So when it comes to hair journey, like a lot of people like maybe start off with like a lot of protective hairstyles. Like, do you feel like sometimes they feel like they didn't officially start the natural hair journey because they decided to like cover it up so the hair can get to a certain length, or until they try to figure out what they can really do with their hair? Like, what is your what do you like best about the natural hair journey?
I don't know. I guess like all parts of it are beautiful. I personally didn't have a good experience with the braid extensions, like, because I got them a couple times when I was younger, and the last time I got them, the woman, like, I don't know, I guess she just pulled them really tight, and so, I had like these braided extensions, and like when we took them out, so much of my hair came out, so I never did that again, just because for me it wasn't like a good fit. But obviously for some women it is. It is a good fit, like they call them protective styles. And oh yeah, so my favorite part about the natural hair journey, I think all of it is really beautiful. I guess one thing that I really like is once people, go through their natural hair journey and then they inspire other people to do the same, like you, right? Like with your sister, inspiring her to do the same, even if you didn't necessarily know it at the time. I think that's really amazing. Sometimes it just takes one person, and then when they show self-love to themselves, so it's kind of repetitive, or when they embrace their natural hair, it's sort of a domino effect, and they inspire other women to do the same. So I like that part.
What do you like least about the natural hair journey?
I guess that's a good question. I mean, because I never had like a relaxer, I guess I didn't have to go through it, but I've heard like a lot of women say that it's hard sort of growing out a relaxer and not really knowing what to do, not knowing, having to learn all these different styles, especially like some of the women I've talked to who went natural before like YouTube and didn't really have any knowledge of how to deal with their hair texture, and having to learn all of it on their own, without any help from people in person or online. I think that's that's been hard for some people. Obviously now though we have YouTube, which is awesome.
And
Yeah.
in 2010 is when YouTube really got big, and that's when most people was able to like see representation of like hair. You know, the most popular was like 3C, but it was like it's something. It's a start. We started with something. Luckily, when I started, it was 2014 or 15 when I decided to go natural and then did the big shop. So I had YouTube to like guide me, like, oh, try these hair products, or I can potentially do this kind of hairstyle with my certain length. Like it was short at the time, so I got to see like the things I could do when my hair got longer, but then also things I could do in different stages when it got to like the fro. I'm like, I wore hairbands most of the time, and I look at a picture, I'm like, that was cute and the easiest hairstyle I have ever had. Then it got to the middle, I'm like, okay, now I gotta braid because like it's getting detangled too easily now. I'm like, I gotta do something else to it. And then it took longer. It's like it always feel like it's only stopping at one stop. I'm like, can you pass the broad limb? And now like it wanted to pass the broad limb, so it's like always starting over.
Yeah.
Then, oh, sorry.
No, I just said yeah.
And then when it comes to like, a lot of people don't like to talk about like dandruff or eczema of the scalp.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's never a win situation. It's like you gotta embrace your natural hair. Then you gotta worry about your scalp condition that you didn't get the choice to have. Then you gotta worry about like trying to find time to do the hair because that hair wash day takes forever. Especially if you try and take real care of your hair. Now you do it too quick, you bring your hair off at the end because you missing steps and you don't put all the product on your hair. Or if you have too much hair, then you gotta use a lot of the product, and the product is not cheap.
Yeah, I know the products can be pretty expensive.
I swear, I think the first 2 years, or within the first 5 years, people decide to go natural. It's always you will see they have a counter of like 20 products of hair products and of like 5+ companies, and it's like, why do we do that? Like, we always know somebody who does that, and then when somebody else starts the hair journey, they're like, I'm not gonna be like that, and they end up being like that. Like, where can we stop? It's too many products.
I know. I feel like it's hard because everybody's hair like reacts differently to different products. So you might get like recommendations from like one person, and then another person is like, actually, you should get this. You're just like testing out all these different products.
Yes, or you look at YouTube, you're like, oh, when they use this product, their hair look just like that. But then you look at some people, if you look at all the product they use, their hair always look like that. So when you try to put it in your hair is like a different texture. It's like, they lied. Lied to me. I think the most hurt is when you see a tutorial, you're like, I'm gonna have this hairstyle, and then you do it, it never comes out like that. Maybe 1% of the time, it might actually come out right, and you're like, you won for the day.
Yeah, I know. It's difficult sort of trying to recreate different hairstyles that work texture. But when you mentioned the products, like, thinking like, oh, this person used this product and their hair looked like that, so I should do the same. It reminds me, one of the women in my book talked about when she was younger, she saw this commercial for some brand. I can't remember if it was like Dove or Pantene or something like that. And the little girl in the commercial was like, had straight hair. And so she told her mom, like, Mom, can I use this like shampoo and conditioner too, so that my hair can also be straight like the girls in the video? Yeah.
The innocent days.
I know.
Like, oh, so if I just use this product, then my skin will be so clear. my hair will be perfect. Oh, my dandruff will disappear forever. It never works for everyone. Like for me, oil, when it gets too thick, dandruff just grows. And I'm like, they tell you to put oil in your hair so it don't dry out, but when I do it, It never worked. It's like, okay, this oil is too thick. This is not working for you. They said, oh, these natural herbs are going to help you grow your hair. I'm like, I tried that and I can't get my hair to grow because my scalp is like, this is too thick. It just clogged up your pores. Now what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you never can win. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I'm supposed to use oil to help your hair grow, but it's also making but the oil is too thick. So now my scalp is like, well, what you doing? Like, now I can't breathe. So it's like contradicting.
Yeah. And that's also, I think, why it's so, like, unfortunate that so many of our ancestors, like, hair traditions and knowledge got lost because they had, I mean, so much of their culture, at least my understanding, that a lot of their culture revolved around hair, so they knew how to take care of all these things. They were like, oh, you know, any issues, like, they had things for it, and they dedicated a lot of time and energy and natural resources to it. But now people are sort of stuck to figure that out on their own. But yeah, but your hair looks great though. I mean, especially, I mean, because you started, you said 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
5, 6 years. I have lost count. I guess after the 5th year, I say, year, I have stopped saying that. My guy can see I've been natural for a while. My hair has grown.
Yeah.
Someone even told me on Facebook, they said, you change your hair a lot in my videos. It makes you attractive. Of course, it's a male. I'm like, it's not all about attractiveness.
Yeah.
I hate having the same hairstyle. I switch it up. I add pieces to it. I put a wig on. I dye my hair. I keep it frozen, especially if I don't feel like doing nothing to it. I'm like, well, this is what it's gonna be. Like, y'all gotta deal with it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's fun to switch up your hair, you know, and like try different styles and things like that. And it's crazy how sometimes men think we're doing things like for them, like that they think we're attractive. And it's like, no, this is for us.
It just had nothing to do with you. If you like it, then it's a bonus. But I really was trying to do it because I thought I was cute.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's the males with the good hair and they don't know how to take care of it. Like, how? Why do you have the lashes? Why do you have the hair? And you don't even care about it.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
To someone who wants it.
Yeah, my husband he's from El Salvador, and he kind of has hair like mine, but my hair is actually like really thin, and like especially when I take a shower, you can see like it looks like it's big, but it also like, I mean, it's so thin, you know. And my husband, he's like growing out his curls, and it's so thick, and I'm like, oh, that's so nice that your hair is just so like there's so much of it, you know. I mean, but I love, you know, I don't want to say anything negative about my hair, but I agree because he doesn't even take care of it, and I'm like, Victor, like your hair is amazing.
I feel the same way. Everything. A guy who is Indian and Trinidadian. So, and he was the only one in the family who got the hair. His dad has like was Indian and had like the curly hair. So my mom literally called him the Black Jesus. This was his like, especially when he decided to grow his hair out. And I'm like, why you had to get this? I'm like, I figured you're gonna have like nice hair because when we first met, he had like a short buzz cut and had like the Asians cut his hair because he had that type of hair. And so when he decided to grow his hair out, like it was like big curls, then it drooped. So now he looking like what they think Black Jesus look like. Little wavy curl, wavy hair. That's what he looks like. So I was like, why? You don't even care about it. You don't even know nothing about doing the hair at all. So I was the one giving him tips, like you had to put deep conditioner on your hair. You had to put leave-in conditioner. He's like, for what? I put conditioner in my hair when I wash it. No, you have to put conditioner after you wash it. I'm like, why? I'm teaching you how to do your hair, and your hair is better than mine. Your hair is more manageable than mine. one time he literally broke his comb, so he just laid there and let his hair like turn into like freeform dreads in the back. And guess who had to save the day? Well, like a whole week, I was getting conditioned and like literally scratching to get it out. Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Like the more with decent hair, my hair takes more work. I literally had his mom's hair type, really thick 3C, and she's is Caribbean. So we got the same hair type, but he gets the oldest hair and he don't know what to do with. I'm like, oh my gosh, like just put it in a ponytail. I get him we went to the store to literally buy him a satin pillowcase because like he don't have no scars. I'm like,
so
you can lay on his hair in a ponytail. He would literally have his head like this and go to sleep like this. I'm like, and then he sleep on his back. I'm like, well, how that's not going to help. That's why you had dreads. That's why you was forming dreads.
Yeah. That happened to me when I was little with because I used to hate my mom, like when anybody like got near my hair because I was really physically sensitive about it. And I mean, I guess I'm tender-headed, so my mom would, anytime my mom went to go brush my hair, I would just like start screaming before she even touched me with the brush. And so it was like really hard for her to do. And so there were a few times where like I started getting like locks in the back of my head. And yeah, I felt bad for my mom because she really had to.
A lot of project.
Yeah.
Yeah, but luckily on the last day before I left, I literally was able to get his hair back to normal. He only had one little knot. I'm like, you lucky I don't have no sense because I would just cut it off. But you had to cut it off. You're like, you can't cut my hair. I'm like, oh, now you sensitive about your hair.
Then you need to brush it.
But you should have brought a brush. Like you just walk around here with no brush. You just lay your hair down and then put in the ponytail. And then tell myself, oh, don't cut. You don't trust me cutting it. But I just took your loss out.
Exactly.
This time now he takes better care of his hair.
That's good.
And I'm like, but you had a sister who does hair. And you live with your mom. I know they don't have the same hair type as you, but they do hair. Like they could have told you put conditioner in their hair.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. I feel like some men think it's like unmasculine to take care of their hair, So I love seeing when like I guess like your friend finally like starts taking care of of his hair. And like one of the women in my book, she was like, yeah, and my brother asked me like if I can help him take care of his hair, and so like now she's teaching him. And so that's really cool. Yeah, because I think for some reason some men are just like, like I'm not gonna. That's like for women to. No,
I have to work on it too.
Yeah, exactly.
So what advice would you tell to the young girl who's like looking in the mirror and feeling like a disconnect to her natural hair and wishing she could change it?
I think first and foremost, because I think if we just tell someone, oh, like you should love yourself, that's great and can be helpful. But I think if we really explain to like that young girl the history of our hair and the history of our people and give her an explanation, like you should love your hair because, and really ground her in her roots and all of the amazing things that her ancestors did, regardless of if she's like African American, Afro Caribbean, or African or whatever, all of our ancestors have done really incredible things. And if you look at African Americans and Afro Caribbeans, for example, whose ancestors survived the Middle Passage, we come from really strong people, and I think that if we give that little girl something to be proud of and make her understand that her hair is actually a strength and a superpower and something that was gifted to her by these really strong, incredible people. I I think that that's the first thing I would say. Obviously, like, you know, if she's really little, I think just leading by example and showing her, you know, because it's one thing to say, oh, you should love yourself, but you're not doing the same. That's kind of hypocritical. But I think if you say you should love yourself and I love myself and look at all these other women who love themselves, then I think it makes more sense for the little girl to say, oh, yeah, I see examples of self-love, so I'm going to do that as well. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I think it's a good message to give out to people because, like, most people, like, I want to embrace my hair, but it's like, but how? Like, it's too much work. This hair just doesn't do nothing for me. The look I was going for does not match the hair type. Like, how can I really embrace it? What are some common things have you heard from like women of different backgrounds say about like their hair or just the natural hair journey for them as she has collected in your book and blog?
I mean, you know, some women have a couple women, including actually, I think the last woman or the last girl who I interviewed. Her name is actually she's a model. Her name is Slay West, and I think she's 12 years old now. I interviewed her when she was like 11, I think, or 10. And it was, I felt like, symbolically a really beautiful way to sort of end the journey for me documenting it in person, because she had always loved her hair and she just grew up never understanding why she wouldn't love her hair or why anybody wouldn't love her hair. And I think that was different from almost all of the other girls and women in my book who at some point didn't like their natural hair, felt ashamed of it, didn't find it as beautiful, didn't find it professional, were nervous about going natural. So I thought that was really beautiful to see. I mean, I don't know, hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, that girl Slay is a sign that things are changing for the younger generation and that, you know, we can eventually have a generation of Black girls who don't know what it's like to not love their natural hair. So that's a goal for sure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Me growing up, actually, I don't think I really hated my hair. I think I really like didn't know my hair because it was always braided.
Yeah.
I actually was the one who decided to like, get a perm in high school because like the style I just wanted, it was just straight. And I'm like, well, I just want this hairstyle. It's not really because I hated my hair. It was because, well, I don't want to get blown out and then it just poof up tomorrow. And I'm like, that's a waste of time. And they had that many options in the book, but I didn't think I really hated my hair. It was just like, I mean, it is what it is. Like I just got braids.
Yeah.
Much about like weave, especially blue. Where I'm like, yeah, that was painful. Like, how do you remember which part is your hair and which part is your scalp? Like,
yeah.
That don't seem like when.
I know, like the physical, like I mean, I've never gotten a weaver or relaxer, but I've heard and like done research on like the physical effects of it, and that it's literally painful. So it's crazy that society tells us we have to endure this like physical pain, you know?
Yes, when I think my grandmother was very heavy-handed, so like she would braid my hair, comb and braid my hair, and I would be crying. Like you would go like puffs on my eyes were like red. She like you would think I just got a whooping. What happens to her? Oh, she just got her hair done. And then like 2 hours later, I'm in the mirror like, ooh, look at this braid. Look at my hair. It's cute. And went through that process like every 2 weeks. Here she go crying again. It cries. Like I cried so much I didn't even have no more tears.
Yeah.
Like I'm done with this. Get off my hair. It hurts. Mom, because she was not heavy handed. And like she put twists in. I'm like, I already have twists. I don't want no more braids. This hurt. Them braids hurt. And that ain't before I have added hair. That hurt too. They since I got natural, my hair is sensitive. I'm like, first of all, I'm not sitting here since hours in no chair. This is ridiculous. if I'm going to stand and do my hair for 6 hours, it better be me doing the hair because I'm not sitting in the chair starving. Because I'm getting planned. I'm like, where are you at? Oh, they be at the top. I'm like, okay, 5 more plats. It's 20. No. And that gives me another hour. No, I want to get out of this chair and want to eat my food. Stop.
Yeah. That is difficult. It's sometimes how how parents will force, I mean, certain things on their kids' hair. I've also heard of like, and I guess it's not as common now, but some people when they were younger, like their parents gave them like the hot comb, you know?
Yeah, serious was serious. You be like this. Okay, go ahead, go for it. Do not hurt my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had no problem. Like not my forehead. My mom had like she was doing her hair and we had a little burn mark. I'm like, yeah, she hit the hat comb on her forehead. Like now that's 2 weeks on that spot. I don't want the spot. Make sure you do not touch the forehead.
Now you need to put on like a little cover or something.
Yeah, mention for that. Like they had a little umbrella for like washing kids' hair so they don't get in their face. They do want that. So with the hat comb, do not hit the forehead.
Yeah.
If somebody invent that, please let me know. Somebody, because like we ain't doing no more burn ears, edges, or necks here.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like, I mean, it's not as bad, but like even like with flat irons, you know, like when they get really close to your scalp or like, you know, they like catch your ear, like that really hurts too.
Yeah, and it feel like me iron clothes, and you make sure the hot arm part did not hit your hand when you was trying to iron the clothes. That too was like jump up fast enough so it don't hit the skin.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so glad those days are over. For my sister, on my mom's side, because I have 2 sisters, 2 younger sisters, one on my dad's side, one on my mom's side. My the youngest sister on my mom's side, she when she it was like maybe at elementary school, my mom just decided she was not gonna wait until she decided to get a perm. She automatically gave her like the kitty perm. Whereas for me, she just let me decide if I wanted to perm. Like I think in 9th grade, I just said, I want this hairstyle. I'm in 9th grade now. I need a new look. Mom, I want a perm today. She said, okay, next time you do your hair, I'll put the perm in. But it was my choice.
Yeah.
But my sister, she didn't have a choice. She was like, hair's too thick. I don't have time for no natural hair. You're getting this kitty perm.
Yeah. I mean, and I understand like parents who do that because I mean, it's, you know, because parents are work. I mean, parents are so busy. Like sometimes I'm like, do I ever want kids? Because I mean, you know, it's so much energy that you have to invest in being a parent. But so I understand why some parents are like, all right, let me just like perm this hair to make it easier. But I think that like in your case, for example, where your mom like let you choose and gave you the autonomy, I think that's important.
Yeah, I think most parents do that. Whereas my sister on my dad's side, her mom like was always straightening her hair with a hat comb. I know she already had a perm, but her mom's only straightening her hair. So when I decided to get a perm, her mom asked me like, "You have a perm now?" I'm like, "Yes." So then the next time I see my sister, she had gave her a perm, and then she started getting a perm. I'm like, "Well, that was not the goal. I wasn't trying to convince somebody to get a perm.
Yeah.
I just want a different hairstyle." Like, why did you do that to her hair? Like, she was like maybe middle school. Yeah, middle school when they get a perm. And I don't think I think my sister, she just like hair. So it was like, well, hair makes you look good, then I'll wear it.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just stick with the high comb? Like, she could have kept the high comb. Like, why did you give her a perm? I don't know. Maybe my sister probably asked her mom, like, can I get a perm this time? But I'm not trying to convince you. So I'm glad I was able to convince both my sisters now to go back natural.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I took them to go to get a perm unconditionally, and now I got them to move back to being natural. I really wasn't pushing it on them, but I guess seeing me and then realizing like their hair was thinning out, or they wanted to like learn about their hair, then when they decide to do the same thing. I don't think I really learned about my hair until I decided to go natural because my hair was always braided when I was a kid, always until high school, and then I did. Then when I got to get to this natural stage, I got to learn what my curls actually look like. Because I mean, in the '90s, they wasn't even talking about natural hair. They was only talking about keeping it straight or just where to flow. I'm like, okay, but it's the little curls here. Like, what
Yeah.
else to what else to do with this? Like, you don't like my hair is thick, so you can't always see the individual curl. But when you see it, it's like, now what am I supposed to do with this? Like, how am I supposed to know this is supposed to be decent curls? Or like, it's okay to have, you're supposed that some hairs have like multiple textures in one
Yeah.
hair. At one point, I'm like, am I putting too much product on one side? Like, it's like, over time, like, no, I think this one is just more bushier, more bushier than the other side. And
Yeah.
then the back always is like looser than the rest of the hair. I'm like, why is the back looser than the rest of the hair? Yeah, you just match.
Yeah, I know. It's funny how we have like different hair texture. I feel like even for me, like I have different like hair textures on different parts of my hair. Like my ends are curlier, like up here I think is less curly. Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's always gonna be like the fight with like natural hair because most people think like they see in like magazine one hair type or
Yeah.
they think the celebrity only have hair type, and then when you come to your hair, it's like, but there's like three. Like, am I doing something wrong? Like, am I? Use? I feel like you feel like should I just put one product on this hair on this side, the product on this side,
Yeah.
and then another product on the back, and then maybe it'll come the same.
Yeah, that's funny. And even sometimes like our like whole hair texture changes. I mean, well, all right, well this I guess was kind of my fault. But because I dyed all my hair at one point, and then the hair my like hair texture like completely changed, like all of it.
Yeah, most people don't realize when you dye your hair kind of changes with it.
I didn't know that before.
And then, like, also, like, when your hair is a certain length, the texture changes too.
Yeah.
Like, when it's short, the curls, like, you might have, like, very big curls, but
Hmm.
then you get, like, longer, it started becoming, like, wavy. And then,
Yeah.
it's not the hair I wanted. I wanted the long, big curl hair. Like, why it was, like, either or.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I was little, I mean, my hair was short, obviously, because I was little, but it was, I had like curls sort of coming out of my head. But like the longer my hair gets, it sort of is like flatter at the top, and then like the curls are at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the opposite effect. Like my hair's already big curls, and I'm like, maybe if it get a little longer, the waves, the curl will get like the more manageable. It's just doing this. I need to go do this.
And yeah, I feel like then sometimes even like on different days, hair does like different things. Sometimes it's like, oh, today I'm gonna go like flatter, or like, oh, today I'm gonna go like more to the side. Since it has like a life of its own.
Many times I'm like, my hair is like a pineapple. I have a headache. My hair is for a ponytail. Like I might try to get the perfect poof, and like maybe I have a headache. I'm like, why do you have a headache? Oh, the ponytail is too tight. It's like I can't even wear the hairstyle I wanted.
Yeah, I know. Even like an up high ponytail or like a bun, or if it's not loose enough, like my head starts to hurt, and I'm like, oh no, like comfort over beauty.
Like I need pills for the ponytail.
Yeah.
So, do you believe there are any ways that like women and girls of color could like learn to embrace their natural hair in some type of way?
Yeah, I think now more and more Black women and girls are embracing their natural hair. So I hope that it's something that stays, I hope that it's not just like a fad. I hope that this is something like culturally that's permanent, because this is, I think, a really good change. And on social media causes so many issues, but I think one of the nice things about it is that um, there's the opportunity for anybody to get on there and post photos of themselves and Black women with natural hair. So now we can see, right, like at our fingertips. I talked to this one woman who said she actually used Tumblr. And she would just like follow all these Black women with natural hair and just like for a year look at all these photos of them on Tumblr until she really started embracing her natural hair herself. So yeah, I think with more representation. What did you say?
I used to love Tumblr, but now I think it's Pinterest now.
Oh yeah.
That's where I get most of my hairdo ideas. I said, it's time for me to get my hair done. What do I want today? Let's see a Pinterest. Let's see. I'm thinking of one hairstyle. Let me like go through that. I think I can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all, Tumblr for some reason, I don't know. I guess because I haven't made an account, Pinterest. I haven't made an account, and so whenever I click on things, it like takes me to weird links. But I don't know. Maybe I should just sign up for an account so that I can actually save things that I like.
Yeah, I haven't like made an account, but like I usually find the best ideas. I'm like, okay, like this is a good hairstyle. I think I can do that.
Yeah.
Now that they have like, like if Pinterest needs to like make like remove like the standard and like, cause like I feel like to even reach those pages of like Afrocentric hair, you have to literally put the word Afrocentric or Black hairstyles or natural hairstyle or Black
Yeah.
natural hair. Because even if you say natural hairstyle, you might just get curly, wavy, white hair
Yeah.
with a perm. I'm like, that's not what I meant. It's not natural hair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's a Black Pinterest coming up. It's not as popular right now, but we're working on making a Pinterest where it's the same thing as the regular Pinterest, but where it's like more of the Black community or just people of color, like in 5 days that relates to them.
Oh, cool.
So hopefully, like maybe a couple years from now, that becomes very popular with Pinterest as an option, and I think that would definitely help with the mainstream media to show people like there's more hairstyles, there are more textures and more ways to do your hair but one.
Yeah. Yeah, because even if you like Google curly hair, like oftentimes it is just, it's wavy. It's like wavy white girl hair. And I'm like, I don't know if that's curly.
Like what? Hey, super curly? Like I use the word
Yeah.
kinky. It's not all the way kinky.
Yeah. What is the Black Pinterest going to be called? Do you know?
um, I think it's just called like the Black Pinterest or something
Oh,
like that.
cool.
This one is good. It's a simple name. I saw it on Instagram a few years a year back, and like it's like similar context of like Pinterest. I think it has the same name, just like black in front of it.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Well, this was a great conversation. I think we have like aired out like the whole belief in like the system of the natural hair and
Yeah.
like what it's like for like me and you, which is having a different like experience, and then our family and how their experience were different from us and our friends, and then all the people who have gathered that the hair journey is like it's basically like a culture that you gotta be reintroduced to.
Yeah. Exactly. 'Cause everybody starts there when they're young and then, you know, get relaxers, perms, straighten our hair, and then to come back to it.
Yeah. My mom grandma had the it's not the perm, but it was the It was a hairstyle that it was almost like a perm. It and like I swear, I think everybody has tried to burn those pictures. Luckily, my mother and my mom did not burn their pictures, so there's a couple pictures with their hair in that hairstyle. If only I can remember the name of the hairstyle, that flexi rod, but like similar to like a perm,
Is it a texturizer?
like yeah, almost like a texturizer. It's almost like a curly perm, but it's for like for black hair to make it look more manageable.
I don't know. Huh.
If I can remember, I'll put it in the comment section.
Okay.
I know the name, but like I'm mad because it's on the tip of my tongue and I'm like I know the name and I can't remember. But I think everybody tried to burn that. So after that, when they got introduced to the perm, the straighten relaxer, it's like we ain't going back from there.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's funny how in the '70s and '80s they embraced the fro, then and not wavy fro, but just the fro, and they
Yeah.
cut they it out to like getting that texturizer to get a relaxer hat and the hat cone. So now we're going back to like and back to the natural hair, but now saying it's not just the fro or it's not just wavy or like 3C curls. It's more than that. It's a whole system, a whole belief system, and that whole culture think that everybody's not gonna have the same experience from the next, even if your family members live in the same home.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Everyone's journey is different.
So how can the Afro Kingdom I follow your journey, be a part of the movement?
Thank you. Yeah. So I have my personal Instagram page is St.Cair Detrick-Jules, which I'll send you so you can actually put in the comments. Sorry, I didn't do that yet. But STCLAIRDETRICKJULES, which I guess will be down below. So that's my personal Instagram. And then my hair Instagram / blog Instagram page is My Beautiful Black Hair, just all one word. And then the website with all of the blog posts and more information about my upcoming book is mybeautifulblackhair.com. Yeah, thank you.
Guys hear that? So, guys, I hope you follow her because she's amazing, and you see this conversation flow very well. And I think we talk about like just about everything related to black hair. I don't think we missed anything out. If we did, put it in the comment section because we want to hear more about like people's experiences with the natural hair. And males, you too, you should be a part of the hair movement. Like we focus, like the hair journey is like a lot of women and girls talking about. But like, what is it for men? Like, we talk about like super males that in our lives and how like they didn't really care about their hair. Their hair seemed like it was better attention than what we was working with. What is your experience? Are you hating your hair, or do you love your hair, or do you even care about the natural hair? And like, what are you guys doing to protect your hair as we get into warm weather and your hair dries out? And what are you doing? What did you do in the winter when it was cold? Because I feel like there's like you gotta do 2 different treatments of your hair.
Yeah.
So definitely put in the comment section. Go to the description part of the page so you guys can like learn more about her and her movement because it's beautiful and I'm sure it's going to be a big impact when her book releases because I think it is a perfect time for people to like embrace who they fully are and not just a small part of it.
Yeah.
So thank you, St.Cair, for being a part of our episode and like giving us good insight and like the work you're doing for the community. And another DMV native is also great to work with.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.